Hello everyone, welcome back to the weapons comparison series for Insurgency Sandstorm. I am Mr. Rain, and before we get into this video, I just want to remind everyone that I do have a guide on Steam that covers all of the comparisons that I do, and it also keeps things up to date. So anything that changes or any tweaks that are made to any weapon, I will leave a note and update the guide there. So in case any of these videos end up becoming obsolete with their information or they seem inaccurate, you can always check on the guide to make sure and find out what the newest tweak is. On top of that, I also want to say that if you have been here before, please give this video a like, and if you want to see more, please consider subscribing. Really looking forward to building this channel up and continuing to do stuff, not just in this series, but to just grow out in general. So today we have a request to look at the MK18 CQBR versus the MP7, and this request was asked by Alberto Stan. So thank you very much for leaving a comment, and thank you for that request. It helps me figure out what I'm going to do next. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see the difference. Starting off with the MK18, it uses a 5.56 NATO. Has a vertical recoil of 22, horizontal of 11, velocity of 780 meters per second, a pretty high fire rate of 741 rounds per minute, and a 275 penetration, standard mag capacity of 30, and then 2 fire modes, full auto. And on top of that, I want to see, with the extended magazine, it only goes up to 35 rounds per mag. And so let's go ahead and equip this gun.
Okay.
So we've seen this before, but just going through all the basics. I really do love the iron sights on this weapon. They are just super clean. There's nothing on the left or right that obscures your vision. It's essentially just point and shoot, and you have a lot more clarity and visibility in regards to everything that's around you. And the same can be said for the MP7, which is essentially just the rail. So, but yeah, I prefer both of these iron sights. I think they're probably two of the best irons that are in the game so far. So with that being said, let's run the recoil test. Alrighty, so we're going to fire the MK18 in 3, 2, 1. Just a fun, easy gun to shoot. It did try to climb on me, and then I brought it down, and then those shots were just me overcompensating. So overall, it's just a fairly simple gun to shoot. Won't take a whole lot to learn the recoil pattern and have a more consistent pattern, I guess. So let's go ahead and look at the MP7. So now we have the MP7, which uses a 4x6 by 30mm with armor piercing, a vertical recoil of 18, horizontal of 20, a velocity of 735 meters per second, and an extremely high fire rate of 952 rounds per minute, and a penetration of 371. The mag capacity is at 20, and 2 fire modes, full auto and single fire. Pardon me. And the extended mag capacity goes up to 40 with it. Now, personally, for these tests, I'm always going to bring in the extended mag capacity, and I'm always going to use the extended mag for the MP7 in particular. Reason being, the gun just shoots too fast. For me, I think it shoots too fast to just run a 20 rounds and forget it. I do feel that this gun needs a rebalance, at least in some type of supply points. Because the gun on itself costs too much for only 20 rounds, and then it costs too much to get a standard, not standard, but to get 40 rounds out of it. So aside from that, let's go ahead and pull it in.
Alright, I'm good.
Alright, so looking at the irons, like I said, just very clean irons. I don't have any issues with this at all. Very easy to line up shots and easy to compensate your recoil for. So let's go ahead and run the recoil test. Alrighty, so now we have the MP7. I'm going to shoot all 40 rounds. 3, 2, 1. So I think we can kind of see a somewhat noticeable difference between the two, where the MP7 is fairly easy to keep the vertical recoil from going loose on you, but with it being an SMG, as most SMGs are in this game, it will have more horizontal, more left and right. So it all depends on your preference and what you want from your gun. Like I've said before, in the previous time that I've used the MP7, it's a lot easier to use this weapon when you use it on burst fire. So I'm going to do a reset real quick and show you that. So I'm going to shoot the MP7 one more time, full 40 rounds, but this time in a more of a burst fire. In 3, 2, 1. So when you burst fire, you do have to compensate a lot more for the vertical recoil, because that's how this game works right now, where the first shot or your second shot gets a lot more recoil than your fourth and fifth and sixth shot. So although this is a lot more spraying is a lot more effective in this game, burst firing can also help you out just as much, because as you see the difference here, the spread is pretty much even with what we saw with the MK18. I would feel, in regards to game balance or game logic, if you want to call it that this should be a lot more condensed and it should be a lot easier to burst fire an SMG, but that's just how this game works. So with that being said, I think I can call it here, because the MP7 does not have a foregrip, whereas the MK18 does. And of course, this is not the first time I've covered these two weapons, so you can always feel free to look at the previous videos to see if there was anything you missed. Personally, there's not really much you're missing. I'm trying to cover as much as I can. So let's go ahead and get into the conclusions. With the MK18, you're just going to have a stronger caliber weapon with a 5.56 and a relatively easy recoil to work with. On top of that, it has extremely clean iron sights that are very, not tough, but very clean iron sights that anyone can use, and allows you to see anything that's going on around you while you are aiming down sights. And the same can be said for the MP7. In regards to the recoil differences, the MP7 is just going to be more squirrely in regards to its horizontal recoil if you do go into full auto fire. And if you try to use it in burst fire, you may have mixed results until you get used to the recoil. But either way, with some training, the MP7, or some training, some practice, the MP7 can still be very viable. Unfortunately, I can't say the same when it comes to supply points. So when it comes to supply points, the MK18, and click on it. I lost it entirely. When it comes to supply points, the MK18 wins by default, because it's 4 supply points to get it, but you get essentially a full package rifle. You know, you get 5.56, you get 30 rounds, you're good to go. And you can add whatever other optic you want. You can add a foregrip if you like. You may want it for a rifle like this, but to be honest, just some practice will get you some very good and very consistent results. And whereas with the MP7, it starts off with 20, and that's for 4 supply points. So already you're paying the same amount for 10 less shots, but you are paying for that higher fire rate. So if you really want that high fire rate, then the MP7 is your choice. But personally, I don't believe that the MP7 is lethal enough to justify the high supply cost it does, and it doesn't make it easy to use with only 20 rounds at a time. So if you do want to get the extended mag, that would cost you another 4 for a total of 8. It, again, just a certain simple fault right now where the MP7's more expensive than it is useful at right now. Yeah, and it's a shame, because I do like this gun. I do like to use it from time to time. It's just you have to sacrifice a lot of your extras in order to get this set up to work right. So that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Alberto San, once again for your request. I hope this was able to answer whatever question you had, or just to show the difference between these two guns. I am going to be looking forward to looking at the new weapons that came out, which is the QBZ and the VHS. I've been having a lot of fun using these two weapons, and there are some cool differences between these two. So with that being said, I am Mr. Rain. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider giving this video a like, and if you want to see more, please consider subscribing. So until next time, I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you guys in the next one.